Hello, I'm Ron Strickland. This webcast is one of a series in which I'm providing some brief lectures and commentaries on topics from the courses I teach in literature and cultural studies. This particular installment is one of a series on William Shakespeare's play, Othello, the Moor of Venice. Well, as I said, traditional criticism and scholarship instead focused on the humanistic aspects, the characters as though they are real people and analyzing their motives and actions. And they use the plays as a framework for evaluating standards of responsible social conduct. Shakespeare's characters were treated as rational, autonomous individuals who should be in control of their own destinies. And treating the character as a human agent, as an individual agent, is actually quite consistent with the dominant philosophical paradigm of modernity, of high modernity, one that I spoke about in one of those other webcasts about philosophical paradigms and knowledge production, context of knowledge production in modernity, and that's Cartesian rational individualism, the argument by Rene Descartes for affirming reality, in which he says, Cogito, ergo sum, I think, therefore I am. And it's my thinking that affirms the fact that I am an individual, I'm an agent, I'm in control of my destiny. And that was, in a way, an implicit break from a way of thinking about what it means to be human that might be called Platonic theism, Platonic idealism, in which it's assumed that God has created us, God gave us a soul, and that's what makes us human. And we may not be quite in control of our own actions. There may be some fates or some deities that are pulling the strings. Not so for Descartes, and not so for modernity. In the early 20th century, some philosophers began to be vexed by the question of whether we can really trust what we are seeing, what we are hearing, what we are taking in through our sensory perceptions. And this actually goes back at least to Immanuel Kant, the 18th century German philosopher. And the idea of das Ding an sich, he called it, the thing in itself. The argument is that as a human, we can only know reality, physical reality, or even cultural reality, social truths. We can only know these things at one remove. If we might have a little kitten, we can never know that little kitten in its essential being of catness, of kittenhood. We know that kitten because it has soft fur, because it likes to drink milk, or it might make us sneeze. So our perception of the thing is what we know, and it may not be precisely at all points and all times faithful to the reality of the kitten. And you extend that in lots of other directions. Well, so this problem of phenomenology, this problem set of phenomenology, this philosophical concept and a set of problems to work on, has an influence in philosophy and eventually in literature and in cultural studies, and also in the hard scientists, because in a way it's more or less consistent with 20th century scientific theories, such as Einstein's relativity theory and the Heisenberg principle. So that gets at all, these all get at the same issue. How do you know that this is actually true? If it's true as far as it goes, is it complete? We know Newtonian physics works for most purposes, but there's a point at which it can't explain some reality that we now know is there. So, in effect, truth changes. What was always taken to be true is revealed not really to be true. no surprise to me in a way then that the same set of ideas would cross over from science to culture, cultural studies, to philosophy and literature, anthropology and film, art, in the 20th century. And metadrama is, and metadramatic criticism I take to be of a piece with those new scientific understandings, and also with the philosophical framework of phenomenology. On that note, I'll conclude this webcast. But as always, if you have questions or comments, send me an email.